Sometimes the smallest things we save hold the biggest pieces of who we are. Remember the feel of them. Thin, slightly waxy paper, that sharp, clean smell of fresh ink. Green stamps. S&H Green Stamps. They weren't just paper, were they? They were hope. Coop measured out. One grocery bag, one tank of gas, one bag of nails from the hardware store at a time. For folks like my grandparents, like Mabel and Joe Henderson down the street, for so many families finding their footing after the war and before the whirlwind. These little emerald slips were the quiet currency of dreams. That kitchen. Always smelled like coffee, baking powder biscuits, maybe a pot roast simmering low and slow. And then Thursdays, after the big grocery haul from Miller's Market, it smelled faintly of glue. It was Mabel's day. Mabel wasn't just our neighbor. She was the keeper of the stamps, the general of the Greenpoint campaign. She'd spread the stamps out on that formica table, smooth as river stones, her reading glasses perched on the end of her nose, humming some old Bing Crosby tune. Joe would come in, smelling of sawdust and sunshine from his carpentry work, drop the new stamps from his hardware store, run onto the pile with a quiet grunt, a shared understanding passing between them. No words needed. They were building something. They were building something. It wasn't about getting rich quick. Lord, no. It was about the steady plod, the patient accumulation. Each stamp represented a choice made. Maybe passing up the fancy name brand cereal for the store brand that gave double stamps. Maybe walking to the post office instead of driving, saving that gasoline stamp. Bosha. It was a kind of faith, really. Faith that small things, diligently gathered, could add up to something solid, something tangible. A new toaster when the old one sparked ominously. A set of decent towels to replace the threadbare ones. Maybe, just maybe, that pressure cooker Mabel-eyed in the thick dream catalog that lived next to the Sears Wish Book, the S&H Green Stamp Redemption Center catalog. That catalog wasn't just pages. It was a landscape of possibility, poured over like a treasure map on winter evenings. I remember sitting at Mabel's table, maybe 7 or 8, legs swinging, unable to touch the floor. "How can I help, Mrs. Henderson?" She'd smile, that warm crinkling around her eyes. "Sure, honey. Here." "Damn, you damp sponge, never let a child lick the stamps," she said. "The ink wasn't good for you." My small, clumsy fingers would press the stamp onto the sponge, then carefully, align it in the perfect little box on the page. It felt important. Sacred, almost. Sacred, almost. "You see there," Mabel would say, her voice low and steady, like the hum of the refrigerator. "Every little one counts. You fill the page, you fill the book, and one day, you get something real. Something you need, something maybe you just want real bad, but you gotta be patient. Well, you gotta tend to it, regular as clockwork. Patience. That was the lesson, woven into the very fabric of those green books. Not the flashy, instant gratification the world seems to crave now, but the deep, quiet satisfaction of working towards something, of delayed reward. Joe needed a new toolbox. His old one, patched with duct tape, was bursting at the hinges. It was right there in the catalog. A beauty. Metal, with trays that slid smooth as butter. But it cost a mountain of books. 20 full books seemed impossible. I saw Joe look at it, a flicker of longing in his steady eyes, then close the catalog. "The mixer comes first, Mabel," he'd say. "Your hands." Mabel's old hand mixer was a temperamental beast, liable to overheat and smell like burning wires. The new Sunbeam Mixmaster gleamed on the page. Yeah, shiny chrome. Powerful. A dream for a woman who baked pies for church socials and birthday cakes for half the neighborhood. So, the toolbox dream went on the back burner. Literally. Joe cut out the picture and tacked it up on the corkboard in his little basement workshop. A reminder. But the Mixmaster, that became the shared goal. Every stamp saved felt like a step closer. Groceries at Miller's, even if Piggly Wiggly had a better sale on pork chops. Gas at Texaco, not the cheaper independent down the road. Every little choice, a conscious investment in Mabel's dream. It took months. Long months, but there was no complaining. Just steady tending. Like watering a plant you know will bloom eventually. The filled books stacked up in the bottom drawer of the sideboard next to the good linen napkins used only for Thanksgiving. And a day finally came. A Saturday. Mabel had counted the books 3 times. 20 full ones. Enough. 20 full ones. Enough. We piled into Joe's old DeSoto, me included, buzzing with excitement, and drove downtown, not to the bright new shopping center, but to the quieter part of town, to the S&H Green Stamp Redemption Center. It felt momentous. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Glass counters displayed sample items. Rows of shelves held the actual stock. Behind the counter stood Mr. Peterson, a man who seemed carved from the same patient wood as the counter itself. He knew everyone. Knew their dreams. Knew their dreams. "Well, hello there, Mabel, Joe." He'd nod, his voice dry as autumn waves. "Come to cash in?" Abe would place the stack of books on the counter with a soft thud. 20 books, bound with twine. Her hands trembled just a little. The one on page 37. Mr. Peterson didn't need to look. He knew. A slow smile spread across his face. "Fine choice, Mabel. A real workhorse." He turned, disappeared into the back storeroom. The weight felt eternal. The smell of cardboard and new plastic hung in the air. Joe stood close to Mabel, his hand resting lightly on her shoulder. Solid. Present. Then Mr. Peterson emerged, carrying a large, heavy box. He placed it carefully on the counter. Sunbeam Mixmaster. The letters seemed to glow. Back home, the unpacking was a ceremony. The box carefully slid open. Tissue paper rustled, and there it was, gleaming white enamel, shining chrome beaters. It looked impossibly impossibly luxurious in Mabel's warm, familiar kitchen. She plugged it in. A low, powerful hum filled the room, so different from the asthmatic wheeze of the old one. Tears welled up in Mabel's eyes. Not dramatic tears, just a quiet overflow of emotion, held in check for months. "Well," she said, clearing her throat, her voice thick. "Let's christen it." Joe fetched flour, sugar, butter. Mabel didn't need a recipe. She whipped up a batch of her famous chocolate chip cookies, the new mixer purring like a contented cat, effortlessly creaming the butter and sugar into pale clouds. The smell of baking cookies, amplified by the success, filled the house. But the lesson wasn't just Mabel's. Later that afternoon, Joe went down to his workshop. He took the picture of the toolbox off the corkboard. He brought it upstairs and placed it carefully, squarely, on the kitchen table next to the one remaining, half-filled stamp book. He didn't say a word. Just tapped the picture with a thick finger, then looked at Mabel. The silent pact renewed. The Mixmaster was hers, earned. The toolbox would be his, earned. The rhythm resumed. Groceries, gas, hardware, stamp, lick, press, save. Patient. The half-filled book slowly, steadily began to grow again. Looking back, it wasn't just about the things, though heaven knows that mixer saw decades of service, and Joe's toolbox is probably still in someone's garage, solid as the day he got it. It was about the how. It was about setting a goal, together or alone, and understanding that worthwhile things take time. They take consistency. They take making small choices, day after day, week after week, that align with that quiet dream humming in the back of your heart. It was about the dignity found in building your comfort, your security, your small luxuries, brick by tiny green brick, or stamp by tiny green stamp. Mabel used to say, sitting on her porch swing in the evenings, a glass of iced tea sweating in her hand, "Life doesn't hand you Mixmasters, child. Not real ones. Oh, maybe sometimes luck strikes, and that's fine. But the things that last, the things that mean something, you pay for those in patience. You pay for them in showing up and doing the small thing right, even when you can't see the end of it. Especially then." Yeah? She'd look out at the hydrangeas blooming by the walk. Those stamps, they taught us that. They taught us the value of $1, sure. But more than that, they taught us the value of a day. Of what you could build with what a single day gave you, if you were mindful enough to save it. To tend him under, it was a shared language. Those green stamps. A quiet understanding that passed between neighbors, between generations. You'd see someone at the redemption center, clutching their hard-won books, maybe trading them for a new lamp or a set of dishes, and you'd nod. You knew. You are the grocery choices, the small denials, the patient waiting behind that lamp, those dishes. It was a badge of perseverance, your name on the sleeve, but in the filled books presented with quiet pride. It built homes. This filled them with toasters and towels and tools. But it also built character. It built resilience. It built the understanding that you are capable of crafting your future, one small, deliberate saving at a time. The world moved on, of course. Trading stamps faded like the ink on an old receipt. Faster ways to buy things emerged. Credit cards flashed promises of instant gratification. But something was lost, wasn't it? That tangible connection between effort and reward. That shared community ritual of saving towards a visible goal. The quiet pride in the process, not just the prize. Not just the prize. When Mabel passed years later, we found things in her house. Among the photos and the letters tucked in a drawer were a few things. A single unused S&H Green Stamp, carefully preserved in a little envelope. A page from an old catalog. The Sunbeam Mixmaster circled, and one filled stamp book, and one filled stamp book. Not redeemed, just kept. A reminder, a testament. What are we saving for now? Not for toasters or toolboxes maybe, but what are the dreams we're patiently, consistently building towards? What are the small choices we make each day that are like carefully placing a stamp in a book? Are we saving moments of kindness, bits of forgiveness, deposits of gratitude? Are we building relationships, skills, peace of mind, stamped by invisible stamp? The method changes. The core truth Mabel knew, that Joe lived, that those little green books taught a generation. The truth endures. The things that truly shape our lives, that build our homes in the deepest sense, homes of the heart, homes of security, homes of legacy, they rarely come in an instant. They are crafted, saved for, earned through the quiet accumulation of intention, of effort, of showing up day after ordinary day. It's the discipline of the small thing, the faith that the book will fill even when it's only a quarter done. Wait soon, that the dream mixer, the dream toolbox, the dream life is waiting, not for luck, but for your patient, persistent arrival, one saved stamp at a time. So, hold on to your dreams, friends, and never underestimate the power of saving. Whatever form your stamps may take. What did you save your stamps for? Share your story below.